It's been a long while since I first played Dragon Age Origins. The main things that stuck with me over the years were the cast of characters and the compelling character writing. I'll admit I was a little bit worried that the combat wouldn't hold up. But returning to it today, it's been a journey and a half. Characters are absolutely outstanding.
You can say that again.
I'd also forgotten just how strong and tightly written the main narrative is. Every choice you make, every decision feels layered with genuinely far-reaching consequences. It's a lot more nuanced than just pick option A or B, and your previous actions dynamically affect which options are even available. There's a really authentic sense of player agency, which is exactly what you want in a good RPG.
Now that's what I'd like to hear.
Yeah, I was a little worried the combat might feel dated, and on the action side it definitely does, but underneath it holds up better than I expected. It was a bit more challenging than I was anticipating. I'd have to crowd control, I set one of my characters as a main healer, and I was chugging potions constantly. It was strategically rewarding. I think Dragon Age Origins is still an exceptional RPG. It's a grim, unflinching story, but grounded in deeply human characters. BioWare used to make incredible games and write rich stories and unforgettable characters. I'm going to run through my experiences replaying Dragon Age Origins, talk about the premise and my origins. I'm going to rank my favourite characters, talk more about what Origins excels at, and dive a bit deeper into the gameplay and combat.
Glorious.
Getting right into it, the character creator is definitely a little lacking in the visuals department, but where it shines is getting to pick your race, class, and background. I made a human warrior with a noble background. He's perfect. These choices determine where you'll start. There are 6 unique origin stories, which is nice to see. I feel different starting zones in RPGs is a dying trend, might be down to rising development costs. Alright, let's set the premise. It's just another day living at large with my noble family. I've even got my own pet dog, who gets a good whiff of some giant rats raiding the kitchen, which serves as a little combat tutorial. I appreciate how Dragon Age pokes fun at classic RPG tropes, you know, killing rats at the start of the game.
This is like a bad adventure story.
When I tell Mummy about these giant rats in the kitchen, something about the dialogue feels genuine. Her reaction feels believable, it's realistic.
Oh, marvellous. Just the thing for my guests to hear right before dinner.
Across the board, Dragon Age Origins is well written, conversations feel natural, characters talk like actual people, they're not just setting up exposition, and even small interactions like this help sell the unforgiving world as believable. The writing does a great job of making these early moments feel comfortable and grounded, which makes what happens next hit a lot harder.
My lord, help me! The castle is under attack!
The House of Rendenhau betrays us, attempting to assassinate my entire household in their sleep. My family is left for dead, and I barely escape with Duncan, a Grey Warden who wants me to join his order and help fight the growing Darkspawn threat. The Darkspawn are a race of tainted creatures, bloodthirsty and freaking evil, and I love them. At the ruined fortress of Ostagar, we're introduced to Alistair, a senior Grey Warden, and you can instantly tell you're going to be best mates.
Don't worry, I'll try not to embarrass you.
In this grim, dark, oppressive world, Alistair immediately stands out. He's not your typical warrior. He's awkward, dry, playfully sarcastic, and self-deprecating. All his banter feels genuine and natural. He just feels like a guy trying to keep things light in grim situations. He feels real.
Here I thought we were getting along so well. I was even going to name one of my children after you. The Grumpy One.
But before things at Ostagar go very, very wrong, if you love RPGs, consider subscribing to Bytes or giving the video a like. I'm a bit of an indie game developer who covers RPGs, and I'm replaying the whole Final Fantasy series while ranking them. Thank you.
Maybe we should go. Let's go. Let's just go.
So shortly after we join the Grey Wardens by drinking tainted blood, the Darkspawn invade. The King teams up with the Grey Wardens to stop the Darkspawn, or at least they try to stop them. Enter this guy, Logain, who's awaiting the King's signal to flank the Darkspawn, but he instead betrays the King and flees the battle for his own personal gain. It goes about as well as you'd expect. The King is squashed like a grape, Duncan is murdered, most of the army dies, and you and Alistair are left barely alive, rescued by Flemeth, the mysterious witch of the forest. This is where Dragon Age Origins opens up. Flemeth sends her daughter Morrigan to accompany and assist us.
The Grey Wardens are leaving shortly, girl. And you will be joining them. Such a shame. What?
Basically, our goal is to use Grey Warden treaties to get the assistance of different races of the world to come together and battle the Darkspawn. I can add Loghain to my list of people I'm going to get revenge on, alongside Rendon Howe, who betrayed my family, and the Darkspawn that massacred us at Ostagar. It feels personal. So we've got treaties for the Dalish Elves, the Circle of Magi, the Humans of Redcliffe, and the Dwarves of Orzammar. But they're not just going to jump to our cause. You'll need to help each of these factions with their own problems before they'll honour the treaties and join the Grey Wardens in battle with the Darkspawn. You can tackle these quests in any order you like, and there's plenty of other side content to discover across the Kingdom of Ferelden along the way.
Very simple, is it not?
The game also has some level scaling. I'm not usually a huge fan of it in RPGs, but I get why it's necessary in a more open game. If you let players tackle content in any order, you need some kind of scaling to keep things challenging. That said, it's pretty mild in Dragon Age and different regions that only scale to a limited degree, which I appreciate. It still lets you feel like you're progressing without everything becoming trivial or punishing.
Fair enough.
As I was saying at the start, I was a little worried that the combat would feel a bit dated. It's been 17 years since this launched, and I quite enjoyed returning to this, but definitely got some criticisms. I will say, I forgot Origins had these slow motion kill animations, which are sick as hell whenever you pull one off. It's a little bit finicky targeting enemies, but once you've engaged, you'll barrage enemies with auto attacks. I was surprised by how many abilities you get access to in Origins. Even as a greatsword wielding warrior, I could sunder arms and armor. Pommel Strike was really effective at interrupting spellcasters. And my two-handed sweep was super effective when I'd be surrounded by enemies. You also get a few toggleable passives that would grant a bonus in exchange for some of your energy reserves. My favourite was the Indomitable skill, which provides a little attack bonus, but also makes me immune to stun and knockdown effects. I found I was getting knocked down quite often, and when you're wielding a really heavy greatsword with a long time in between each attack, you really feel the effect of being knocked down. So I made a lot of use of the Indomitable skill to help mitigate some of that.
Now that's a very good point.
You can also control your party in combat. It took me a little while to realise this, but you can select characters, form a group, and direct them onto specific targets. You can zoom out into a more tactical view, and I really appreciate this when fights are getting tough or more chaotic. Pausing the game is quite helpful for swapping two characters and dishing out commands. Thing is, you can only order a party member to use abilities when you've taken direct control of them, which can be a bit finicky. That's where the tactics system comes in. You basically program your party's AI, setting conditions, targets, and abilities. It's almost like programming pseudocode, and if that's not your kind of thing, you can also make use of automated templates. But honestly, there's something really satisfying about setting up your own tactics and then watching your party members play out exactly how you want. Personally, I set up Morrigan to focus on healing and crowd control, while Alistair acted as my frontline tank. Now don't get me wrong, combat is a bit clunky and unrefined at times, especially when it comes to movement and targeting. At times it almost feels like the game could have been pure turn-based, but instead it sticks with real-time combat. I played on normal difficulty and it definitely wasn't a breeze. I had to rely on crowd control, constant healing, and yeah, I was chugging potions like crazy. Thankfully, the game throws plenty of potions your way. Looting environments and enemies keeps you stocked up. That said, things did get noticeably easier once I invested in some heavy armor. So yeah, combat is slow, slightly cumbersome, and I think it'll turn some players off instantly, but where it really shines is in the tactical depth. Personally, I enjoyed the combat, more so for the systems and strategy elements which are holding it up.
You want to die, do you?
And I was talking about party members, there's quite a few to recruit and they genuinely stand out. Some of the most memorable in RPGs. I've been genuinely impressed by their personal stories, insecurities, developments. You'll get these great moments where one jumps into a conversation, then another, and before you know it, your whole party's having this mini argument with completely different viewpoints.
Better to slay him. Better to punish him.
I'd say it's common sense. We don't even know the whole story yet.
He wishes to redeem himself. Doesn't everyone deserve that chance?
And when you're the one who has to make the final call, it makes those decisions so much harder. It adds so much weight to your choices. I've already spoke a bit about Alistair and Morrigan. That's the daughter of the witch who saved us. They're fantastic, and when you party them up, they'll often just talk shit about each other, and the banter is absolutely priceless.
Care where your eyes linger, Alistair.
Yes, well don't worry. It's not what you think.
I see.
I was looking at your nose. I was just thinking that it looks exactly like your mother's.
I hate you so much.
What?
The witty writing, razor-sharp banter and interactions between these characters is just so realistic and well done, it's fantastic. Thing is, these characters don't just blurt out their past and problems, you have to discover what they're hiding for yourself, or build your relations with them before they'll open up. I'll tell you what took me by surprise. Morrigan sharing her difficulties with social interactions due to living isolated with her mother.
I still do not understand it all, truth be told.
While Alistair opens up and shares with us that he's a bastard of royal blood, and he could be king, and he's terrified at the thought of that.
I'm going to make a terrible king, you have to know that.
You get these kind of moments that add texture to these characters, and it makes you care about your companions beyond just combat. They feel like real people with hopes, fears, and secrets. And back to Morrigan, I found a black grimoire that belonged to her mother, Flemeth, again, old swamp witch who saved us at the start. I gave it to Morrigan, and at the time it just felt like a cool little player discovery.
You have my thanks. I will begin study of the tome immediately.
Later on, Morrigan comes back to me, and I remember first time unlocking this quest, it kinda blew me away. After studying the tome, she learnt that Flemeth has daughters, and when the time comes, she takes their bodies to extend her own life. And now Morrigan realizes she's next. And this all starts a whole side quest to kill the witch Flemeth who can transform into a dragon. But what makes this questline extra memorable is just how personal it feels. I found the grimoire, I could have missed it, I didn't have to give it to Morrigan, and I didn't have to kill Flemeth, I could have made a deal with her instead. That level of player agency just isn't so common anymore. With development costs rising, it feels like a lot of games don't trust players to discover things like this for themselves, which is sad because this was such an awesome questline to re-experience.
Oh, how generous we are today, it appears.
There's a few other party members. Thing is, you don't have to recruit them, and if you really want to, you have the agency to just kick most of them out the party when you're sick of them.
And so it's come to this. Very well.
Zevran is a shady assassin I managed to coerce to my side.
The Grey Warden dies here!
Leliana is a kind bard with strong religious faith. Sten doesn't say much, but when he does, it matters.
No.
Ogren is a dwarf warrior who hides his pain behind drink.
Yeah, in the flesh, baby.
Wynn's a mage, a voice of wisdom, but with her own surprisingly dark secrets.
Thank you for showing me another way of looking at it.
And you can't forget my trusty loyal pet dog. If I had to rank my 3 favourite characters, Leliana would have to be number 3. She's incredibly useful as a ranged damage dealer and support bard, sweet, kind, and just a joy to have in the party. But the deeper you get to know her, the more her darker past starts to surface. And that contrast makes her really interesting.
You did what you thought was best.
Number 2 has to be Alistair, the trusty tank and meat shield of my group. He's just the kind of guy that anyone could become friends with. He feels genuine, grounded, and completely out of his depth. And you can tell he's trying to mask that with jokes and banter.
Do I seem a little nervous? I am.
My favourite character is easily Morrigan. My main healer, a master of crowd control. She's incredibly useful at manipulating the battlefield and people, but it's her personality that really stands out. Her wit and intelligence are unmatched. She's sharp-tongued, ruthless, and never holds anything back. The more you get to know her, the more that cold exterior starts to crack, and you begin to see there's something deeper going on. She's got my favourite questlines in the entire game, and even though she always has her own agenda, that's exactly what makes her such a compelling character. I really like that as some of these characters open up, they're willing to train you in their art, unlocking new specializations and skills. So developing bonds with your party can even have a noticeable effect on combat gameplay, tying vastly different ends of the game together. I ran into Isabella, a cheeky pirate captain who can teach you the duelist specialization. I had completely forgot that this character was in Origins, but I did remember she becomes a playable character in Dragon Age 2, where she gets a bit of a glow up.
I could use those strong hands at my helm.
So as Grey Warden, I went around Ferelden recruiting the various races and factions to help fend off the incoming Darkspawn invasion. That was my main mission objective. If there's one thing that's consistent in Dragon Age Origins, it's just how dark and mature the whole experience is. Some of the demon designs are just horrifying. I reveled in replaying it, and the sense of player agency. Throughout the game you're faced with important decisions that ultimately reshape the world, and these choices have real consequences. Sometimes it might seem like you're just picking between a binary decision A or decision B, but it's never that simple. Multiple layers affect your options, and your actions can determine which choices even appear. There's usually a surprising number of different outcomes to a situation.
I hope your compassion hasn't doomed us all.
I started out with the Dalish elves who wanted help fighting off some werewolves in the forest, but I discovered some of the werewolves weren't so evil, they could even speak. Suddenly things became a lot more morally complicated than it first seemed.
Truer words were never spoken.
Circle of Magi had gone to chaos with some mages secretly learning dark magic that unleashed demons and abominations across their order. And then there's the overbearing Templar Order, enforcing control and stripping the mages of their freedom. You're caught in the middle. Who's right? Who's wrong?
Oh, very observant.
I helped defend Redcliffe from an incoming Darkspawn invasion where a child prince has been possessed by a demon. Would it be best to quickly put an end to him, or should I risk taking the time to find another way? While I found myself in the middle of a dwarven political dispute in Orzammar, which had me venture into the deep roads and fighting my way through hordes of Darkspawn. And finally, there's the political showdown with my nemesis, Loghain, and his right-hand man, the leader of the Howe family who betrayed my family at the very start of the game.
Your family squandered glory that was rightfully mine.
How all these events play out is ultimately in your hands. You determine the fate of these factions, and who will join you in the final battle with the Darkspawn. It's even possible to recruit Loghain to your side and he becomes a permanent party member.
I have done what was needed for the good of Ferelden.
Going into Endgame, the final battle, it's the Grey Warden's job to defeat the Archdemon, which acts as the hive mind of the Darkspawn, but here's the catch. The Grey Warden will die in the process. Morrigan approaches us with one final decision. She can do a dark ritual to save us from dying, but in exchange, I have to have a child with her.
A child born with the soul of an old god.
And she's going to leave us after the battle. If we don't take her deal, she instantly leaves the party, and I lose my main healer going into the final battle. What an interesting choice to be presented with. It's a decision that really sticks with you. Do you accept Morrigan's ritual and risk bringing a child into the world with the soul of an old god? Or do you go in knowing your life is over, but keep control of your choices? Either way, it's personal, it's intense, and it makes the final battle even more meaningful. It's moments like this that set Dragon Age Origins apart, where your relationships, your choices, and your actions all collide in a way that actually matters. I took the deal, but I'm a little sad that this decision doesn't mean much in the grand scale of Dragon Age and future games. It turns out most of the player base chose to not undertake the Dark Ritual, and because of that, not much has gone into representing that decision in future games. In a way, it feels like Morrigan was manipulating me and using me all along. This was her agenda all along. And you feel the sting twice when you remember the signs and warnings that you shoved off. She's such a brilliant character.
She is a cunning woman, a Maleficar. She will use you for her own ends.
Well, it's your funeral.
The writing in Dragon Age Origins still holds up today. Well, in fact, it's better than most modern games. Characters rarely feel like fantasy stereotypes. They have their flaws, insecurities, and their own motivations, which makes the dialogue feel grounded and authentic. The writing just feels real. Characters argue, joke, panic, and make bad decisions, just like actual people. Even in a world full of darkspawn and magic, the characters react to events in a very human way. Yeah, combat feels a little clunky and dated, but I still enjoyed the tactical, strategic side with the need for crowd control and support skills. I love the dark fantasy world here. It's rich in lore, it's dangerous and morally complex. Even simple side quests can reveal unexpected layers and difficult decisions. It's a world that doesn't hold your hand, and that's exactly what makes exploring it so satisfying. Dragon Age Origins is an exceptional RPG. I love returning to Ferelden, and honestly I don't want this to get the remake treatment. I'd want a one-for-one remake, and I'd be worried that somewhere along the line it would lose its essence and what makes it special in favour of modern design takes or chasing after a more modern audience. There's a bit of a post-endgame with some optional dragon bosses, but really you're looking at the DLC and its expansion pack Awakening to go on from here. I'd like to play through the DLC as well as revisit all the other Dragon Age games and see how they hold up now, but it's going to take some time. Next up, World of Warcraft Midnight Review, and I'll be diving into more Final Fantasy. In the meantime, check out my top 10 most emotional moments in Final Fantasy, or my thoughts after 1600 hours in Guild Wars 2. Have a good one.